But the purpose of tonight is to launch Grid. So if you don't know what Grid is an investment group. It's a nationwide, I'm sorry, I'm gonna stand in front of those slides. So Grid is a global real estate community, and it's built for investors by investors. And really, the people that we collaborate with are like the top 1% real estate brokers and team leaders across the nation. And we learned of Grid through one of them in Florida. And we learned of them a few months ago. We're like, what is Grid? And they're like, you don't know the Grid guy? Who's the Grid guy? We're like, no, we don't know who the Grid guy is, but we clearly need to. And so did our research, found the Grid guy, and the Grid guy and his wife run this organization, and it's a global thing, and you have to interview and fill out paperwork to get your own chapter. And when you get your own chapter, they help you grow it, and it's to grow a community of investors and people that want to invest in real estate, and real estate agents, contractors, flippers, wholesalers, people in multifamily, lenders, hard money lenders, you name it, anything to do with real estate and building wealth in real estate. So tonight is the launch of our own chapter. This is Grid Growth Group. So you can look for us on Facebook, tag us if you could, tag the group. We'll get you guys into the group. The goal of this is to grow it. So this is our first night. We're going to meet every first Wednesday at 7 p.m. right here, 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We had a lady that was coming tonight with food, and she was going to talk to you guys about 3 rental communities that she had, and she's not showing up, but that's okay, because this is the guy you're really going to want to hear from at the end when we're done going through some of this stuff. The mission for Grid, of course, is to connect, learn from, and collaborate with like-minded people interested in building wealth and creating wealth through real estate. And if you're a real estate agent or broker or whatever, there's only one income stream when it's a transaction. It's when you're done with closing it, you're done. And then you're unemployed, basically, you're looking for your next transaction. That's not how you build wealth. You gotta have multiple streams of income. And they say the secret to building wealth, honestly, is to create enough passive income that it actually covers what your monthly expenses are. Then whatever you got coming in over that is just gravy. So this is for lifelong learners. We believe everyone has something to share. So some people in here are already in real estate and investing in stuff, some are not, and that's okay. This is intro to investing. Every month we're going to start on something new: how to find your first deal, how to build your first team, how to apply for a hard money loan, what is a hard money loan, how to become a hard money lender. We're going to hit all of that, but tonight's going to be a little bit about getting started in investing. Your net worth is equal to your network, and this is getting in the right rooms. We have been in real estate. I've been in real estate for 20 years. I got with EXP 4.5 years ago to change my life. I am a broker. I've had my own company, but getting around the right people that want to create massive things in the world has just fueled me up, because I struck gold when I found that. I was like, where have I been my whole life? I was like, going to heaven. So that's what we're going to build here locally, is people that want to grow and grow big. Grid stands for grow your database, relationships, offer the highest return, investment in people and assets, and develop leadership and expertise. That's what we care about. If you want to know about opening your own Grid chapter, you can go right here to gridinvestor.com. It is exclusive, so there's another Houston chapter. They're in Pearland area, actually, and it's a friend of ours. He runs it. He does a lot of his online, and we may in the future do some of this on Zoom too, but we believe in bringing people together. That's why we have this place. So if we didn't, it's on Facebook Live, and that's all they're going to get for now. But the chapters, if you get approved by them, you can have your own chapter and you can grow it and do it something too. So we're excited about this. Hopefully you guys will be too. I'm going to let Paul tell you a little bit about him. Y'all know a little bit about me, but Paul is like, I can't do this. I don't know if y'all have ever read the book Rocket Fuel. I'm the visionary in the book, and he's the integrator. And so, if y'all haven't read the book, you should.
Thank you, Tricia. Hi, everybody. I'm Paul Simien. I don't do this. So I pretty much make things happen. So when she dreams it, I just create it. So I'm the magician behind the curtain. I've been in the real estate industry for almost 2 years now, working with Tricia Turner. Before that, I went to Prairie View, electrical engineer, joined the Army, did that for 14 years. I did everything from combat engineer to counterintelligence to operations. And I took on this deal right here, and I tell you that real estate is probably the best vehicle you could ever take towards financial freedom, and especially in investment. So it takes a whole lot of grit and commitment to get into it, and I think that's what I really enjoy about it, because I'm used to putting in the work and seeing the fruits of your labor. That's what drives me more into it, and so I have a passion for everything that we do here. And we started this entire grid chapter here because the biggest thing is a lot of people that we shake hands with, we grew up with, don't know anything about how to create wealth. And no matter how many times you see somebody on the internet, you see somebody on Facebook, Instagram, you talk to somebody on the phone, somebody calls you and offers you this magic pill, come to my seminar, it's only gonna cost you $2,000 and I'll give you the keys to the kingdom, and it's absolutely nothing, it's a scam. So now we found an organization that's not about that. That's actually about bringing people together, like-minded people that are trying to create wealth for themselves, finding deals, showing them how to meet with each other, network with each other, and accomplish their goals. So that's what we're doing here, and that's probably going to be one of the highlights of my life of creating this organization. This is not just us being Grid. Grid is us. Grid is all of us together, creating a community of like-minded people that are focused on wealth for ourselves and our families. So,
Yep.
Nice to meet you.
All right, what's next? We're going through their slide deck because Grid is an organization. They want us to, of this disclaimer, they want us to go through this first set of slides with y'all since it's our launch. So we are. But I believe, I'm not good at the slides at all. I barely look at them, but I'm going to try to make Paul happy and do that tonight and not go down a rabbit hole. But we can with Ben. Ben is like super cool. And so, funny story, go ahead.
Anything that y'all hear tonight, this is not the gospel. Everybody understands that anything in real estate, in anything with the market, financial advice or anything like that is ever changing. So if you hear something from us, it's a strategy that's been proven to work. It will not work for every situation. So if you get in a situation and the strategies that we tell you don't work, don't do it. All right?
Close your ass.
All that's done. Everybody good? Carry on.
Some of these slides we just skim right through. It's like, we're just going to get through. Think of real estate as investing as a game. Monopoly, right? Everyone's played Monopoly.
The objective in Monopoly is to buy 4 greenhouses until you can switch it to a red one, right? That's the same thing that people do in the investment world, right? You start off with 1 rental property, you move to 2nd, 3rd, 4th, then you get 100 Airbnbs, and the next thing you know, you're buying multifamily, right?
I would encourage y'all as we're going through these, and we'll go through them fairly quick, but there are some that's going to have formulas on them. Write those formulas down for sure. Write down any questions, because this is who we're going to pick his brain when we're done going through these and compare what you saw here to real life, what he's living and breathing, what he has been doing for years, and we'll talk more about that. Passive income, like I said, by creating passive income or residual income, whatever you want to call it, that's when you build wealth. This is where most people are. Level 1 down here is just getting the right mindset. And really the biggest thing is like taking action, because it's scary. It's like you got, a certain amount of money to invest in something. It's like, am I all in? Like, that's scary. It's like, here's the keys to the kingdom. What if it fails? You can't think like that though, And a lot of people never take action. Once you take action, everyone you hear they say, once you take action, then it's like, oh crap, that really worked, and that wasn't as hard as I thought. And then it's just building and getting, of course, to level 7, which is where you impact lives. And expansion is what we're always looking to do. This, of course, applies to everyone building your portfolio. I think everyone in here, most everyone in here, is at the early stages of investing. I know we have some banks and stuff in here too. Goal is to learn the rules, build a business, and acquire investments. And of course, the goal is going to be always, because we're in real estate too, we come across deals every single day of people that need to sell their properties. We can't buy them all. Ben can't buy them all. Investing groups can't buy them all. So it's going to be an opportunity for us every month to be like, hey, this is the deals that we just came across. In fact, we've got several that we're going to talk about today. Y'all know somebody that wants to go in on this. Put a group together. It'd be a way for you guys to get to know each other, put y'all's money together, because you're better together for sure. Rich Dad Poor Dad is a book everybody should read, and this is kind of how they look at the financial structure. So read that book, I would say. That's what I would say about that. Going from employee to business owner, when you look at a lot of people, I look at a lot of people. I've worked for myself pretty much most of my life. And when I look at people that have a job, and then most people do, and I get it, and that's great. It makes the world go around. But I look at them and I'm like, their income level's capped for the most part. Most of them, they make a salary or whatever, they get bonuses, and that's what they're going to be. But when you're an entrepreneur or an employee, you're a business developer and owner, there is no ceiling. I mean, it's up to how much you want to hustle. You want to work 7 days a week, you're going to make a certain amount of money. You want to work 2, you're probably not going to make much. So for us, we're always focused on an entrepreneurial mindset and creating wealth and building big things. Let's go past this one. These are boring things.
Self-employed.
Yeah, everyone knows about that. Tax, and we're not going to even talk about tax benefits. We'll bring a CPA in to talk to you guys about that. I met a really cool one 2 days ago. She's awesome. We'll invite her. And Ben's here to talk to you about investing. So let's just skip through all those. That's just stuff you can read. So let's get started. There we go. Let's do that. Where are you now? That's like the first thing. And that's just like looking at your financial stuff. Like here it is, February 1. If you guys do your taxes on time, you probably maybe have a refund coming, or if you do them late like me, and you'll ever get refunds, so you don't do them until October. So you just push that stuff off. But if y'all are looking for your refund, like what to do, this is like right in time because you'll have money coming back. And you can get involved in real estate, as you're going to hear, sometimes with not much money down, it's just getting around the right people and the right resources. What are you spending? Here's a fun fact that you guys all maybe know or don't know. So and this isn't anything on grid, but this is just reality. So the spending report at the end of 2021 came out, and at that time, America as a whole, we have this massive debt, but credit card debt was at an all-time low for consumers, and their spending was at an all-time high. Because in 2021, that's when you didn't have to pay your rent because you couldn't get evicted, and you didn't have to pay your mortgage because everything was forgiven because of COVID. And so nobody was paying their bills, and that was okay. You didn't have to. So, and the government was just giving everybody else money. So they were like spending, living high on the hog. They did the spending report for 2022, and the government stopped giving everybody money, and everybody had to pay their bills again. Credit card debt is at an all-time high for consumers. Their savings account are almost depleted or depleting because they no longer know how to pay their bills, and they lived out of their means, and now they're in trouble. And nobody talks about that stuff. So now this is 2023. You got to figure out, like, where are you overspending? Everything's higher than it was 6 months ago. Starbucks is more, gas is more, eggs are more, everything is more. If you go, airfare is freaking more than it used to be just 3 months ago. So everything's a lot higher. So it's like, what are you throwing money away on? Do you really need that Starbucks? No. Did you really need to go and eat? No. I mean, you got to figure out like what's more important when you're building wealth. So tracking your stuff every single month and figuring out like where your money's going is like key. Next.
Anybody in here using Intuit or Mint.com?
No.
Absolutely. I will put those in the back pocket. If you're needing assistance in tracking your finances, Intuit, I love Intuit. Like, it will literally break down everything that you're doing to where you get around to actually file your taxes. It itemizes everything for you. So, like, I would absolutely save that in your browser history.
Yeah, that's a good one. And then learn what a good deal looks like. And Ben's going to help us with that because, and especially getting involved with real estate people, experts in this, because not every market's good and not every area is good. And if you don't know these areas, you're going to get taken real quick. And with the market like it is, that is not the time for you to be gambling on, well, maybe this is a good deal. Yeah, not a good strategy. Hope is not a strategy, for sure. And then just looking at your return, you know, Ben's going to talk to y'all more about the ARV, which is after repair value. And right now, and Ben will talk about this too, but the investment group that we work with, and there's several of them, they're making offers on properties about 70 to 75% of what market value shows to be. So just kind of, some are getting them for like 60 to 65% too though. So, I mean, the market was inflated during COVID like crazy. Housing appreciation was at an all-time high in Houston. Never, ever have we seen appreciation like that, ever in the history in Houston, never. And you won't see it again. You're never going to see those numbers. So when homeowners are looking like, but my house is worth 600,000 and you're offering me 400,000, it's like, your house isn't worth 600,000. Maybe a year ago you could have sold for that, now it's worth 500, maybe on a good day. So knowing this stuff's super important.
I'm gonna say real quick on the basic formula for fix and flip, that is not the gospel truth on this is exactly what I need to declare my numbers on, all right? It could be anywhere from 70 to 80, 90, 100% on that. So that's 70% of the after renovation value minus the renovation equals your purchase price. So if you just pull out a napkin and you're looking at a bunch of properties and you want to just start writing stuff down and you want to like take 100 properties down to 10, use this quick math right here and then talk to like an expert like Ben over there to take it further.
I always tell everyone that there's a couple different things that come into place. It's good to have a basic principle to run things by. You know, so if somebody gives you a deal at a meetup and you want to do a quick analysis of, hey, I want to, in 1 minute or less, I want to see if we're even in the same ballpark, because in this business, you don't want to waste it. You want to waste as little time as possible. So say you're analyzing single-family homes or apartment complexes, you can't spend 2 hours looking at every single deal that someone says. So you have to find some basic principle, which if it's the house is in Katy and it's a 2010 build and it needs no repairs, then I think we're all probably going to pay a higher percentage of the ARV than a property that's a 1950 build and it needs a full gut and it's in the worst street in Rosenberg.
Totally.
Just my 2 cents there.
No,
We're looking forward
yeah.
to finishing the slides and then you take over.
So again, like you taking notes on this stuff, so then you can, again, follow it up with Ben when he comes on. But I like all this. You definitely got to throw in your 2 cents. And then this is like your biggest thing. Learn how to prospect, network, and market for deals. Because like we have a ton of properties coming in. Like it's insane the amount of stuff that we see every day. And we're blessed. We're beyond blessed. But really, I swear, it's the rooms that you get involved in. We wouldn't even know about grid if we weren't in the right rooms. We wouldn't know about half the stuff that we're going to launch this year if it weren't the rooms that we got into last year. So the rooms and who you hang out with really matter. And then marketing. One of my mentors, Michael Reese, always says it's not the best salesperson that wins, it's the best marketer. Y'all got to be the best marketers. You got to market yourselves. You got to be the expert. Always be marketing. Always be marketing. Never. You're always selling yourself, but you got to be the best marketer. That's who's going to win.
And when they say in this slide right here where it's this is marketing. This is a marketing business. You need to learn marketing using simple messaging. We buy houses, right? The world. I mean, I don't know if everybody understands this, but the majority of the United States of America functions off a 3rd grade comprehension level, right? So the motto is KISS. Keep it simple.
Stupid.
I'm not saying that last part, but keep it simple, right? So simple, y'all seen all the marketing people throw out there, they write on the deals, we buy houses, people still call it. Put your marketing out there, but be precise with your messaging. Don't get all into the extra stuff.
What's next? And this just talks to you about prospecting, networking, marketing, the same. I mean, this is just simple stuff. Come to Grid every month because we're going to build it from here. And invite people too, bring people. Buying rentals, Ben's going to talk about this BRRR method. Buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. You can hit on all of that, right?
I can. Yes, I bought 2 rental properties today. Using a different model, but I can definitely look at that.
Okay. So we'll wait for Ben to talk about that.
Right now?
You want to talk about it right now?
Sure.
Come on. Hey, all right, so we're going to just kind of go differently about this, because y'all are like, who's Ben anyway? So Ben, I met Ben, I don't even know how many years ago now.
About, I think around 5 years ago?
Probably. Yeah. When I had our independent real estate company open, he came in and was going to be a traditional real estate agent and decided he didn't like that. This is not the path that he wanted to go on. I don't want to sell houses. I want to get in investing. Share your story a little bit, Ben, if you could. And we can tell everybody where you are today.
Sure. So when I got started in real estate, I was an agent and I was doing commercial leasing. But before that, so I was a mechanic. I was a mechanic here at Sewell Cadillac on I-10 and I-10 Energy Corridor. And my friend, he was 3 years younger than me, and he was like, man, I'm making all this money in real estate. And he said, you know, basically the Wolf of Wall Street quote, he said, if I show you this check, I made $50,000, will you quit your job and work with me? And so after he showed me all these pay stubs to be paid from his commercial leases, I was like, okay, fine. I'm gonna have to start taking these real estate classes. And so I went to these online real estate courses. And I was like, man, this stuff is really taking forever. It's a lot of work. This stuff better pay off. I was coming home from work and doing all that. And then I ended up getting my license, going to work with him. And we ended up doing commercial leasing together for a while. We became, I guess, the top 3 producers at that brokerage. And at that time, when I got into it, I didn't know how to talk to people very well at all. So this, in my opinion, this is actually the most important thing in real estate. There are some people that are behind the scenes, maybe they're more the engineer people in commercial deals. Maybe they're, you know, running the numbers and doing the bookkeeping and stuff like that. But most of the people in real estate, you're going to need some communication skills. And so I can't tell you how vitally important that is. So whenever I transitioned from being an agent, I ended up getting fired from my brokerage. And the first time I've ever been fired. And anyways, another agent didn't like that I was, I guess, doing more than them. Anyways, long story short, got fired from there and said, man, I gotta, you know, figure out how to work in this real estate by myself. Last thing I'm gonna do is go back to being a mechanic. And especially when you start making pretty good money when you're self-employed, you don't want to go back to that. So anyways, I had this agent at the brokerage. He was in what's called wholesaling at the time, and he was located in Dallas, Fort Worth. And when we had actually coached him on commercial leasing, he came, stayed at my place, and coached him on that. And at night, whenever we were coaching him, he was on his computer, and he was real secretive about what he was doing. And I was like, hey man, what are you doing over there on your computer? And he was like, man, my mentor told me I need to run these Bing ads for wholesaling. And I'm like, man, what is this wholesaling thing? And he was like, yeah, I'm doing marketing. I'm gonna do some really fat wholesaling, make some really fat wholesaling checks. And anyway, so he tells me maybe 30 days later, and I just remember this in my head. So I asked him 30 days later, hey, how's that wholesaling thing going? Did you make any money with that? And he said, yeah, dude, I have a $30,000, getting a $30,000 wholesale check in a couple weeks. And so then I ended up calling him back and I'm like, hey, did that thing ever close? Did you make that money? Because it's important to see if these things go through. Like, you can have as an investor, as an agent, these deals are only closed when they're closed. I just got a message from Mobile Notary on the seller financing deal I did today, and I got it financed at 0% interest from the seller. So she took a note over 15 years at 0% interest. The property's in Bear Creek here. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath brick home, and the purchase price is $150. The property's worth $240 fixed up. The monthly payments, principal-only payments, are $694 a month. But I wasn't sure if it was going to close until I got the final email from the notary, because even down to the last wire, some of these deals, title issues can come up, and so you never count your blessings until they hatch. But so I checked back in with this guy, and he's like, yeah, I closed this deal. I'm like, okay, well, let me, after I left that brokerage, I said, okay, well, let me check back in with him. Is it just a one-off thing, or is he going to keep, because doing one deal is great. There's plenty of people out there that have done one flip. They made a lot of money, but it's a different skill set to keep going and to keep growing your relationships and keep growing as a person, putting yourself in rooms where you're uncomfortable. You're going to a networking event where everyone is doing bigger deals than you, or things like that. And so he said, yeah, I closed another one. And so I was like, okay, I need you. I just got fired from this brokerage, so I need you to tell me what you're doing. And he said, heck no, man. I'm making this money, like, no, nobody's going to take this. Like, I need all the deals for myself. And so I'm like, okay, man, whatever. And then so I called him another 30 days. No, I'm too busy. Like, I don't have time for all this. And I'm like, dude, I'll pay you. And he's like, no. So I call him another 30 days later. And he says, finally, you know what? I think I have something. Let me call you back in 2 days and I'm going to come up with a plan for us. He said, okay, listen, you're going to pay me $2,000. You're going to pay me $2,000. You're going to come to Dallas. We're going to do an intensive training in this Regis office that I rented for the weekend specifically for us. I'm going to teach you how I do my marketing, everything like that. And then if you're willing to work, all I need from you is like 6 hours a day. If you work 6 hours a day on this, we'll go 50-50 on our first 5 deals that we do together. So I'm like, okay, that's fine, let's do it. I've seen that you're making good money. And so I took him up on the opportunity, and I didn't have at this time, I didn't have the money to go out and do the house flipping. I didn't have the money to be a private lender or to JV on some of these deals where you bring the capital. So I had to start wholesaling at the beginning. And from that point, I was making a lot of, he was teaching me how to do cold calling. So I was making tons and tons and tons of cold calls. So I've gotten pretty good at communicating. I think that's, like I said, that's very important as a realtor, whatever you're doing, even on some of these, I did 2 commercial deals last year. And even from that, I still had to push myself to be uncomfortable. I did a couple Zoom calls with private investors that are in Hawaii, and I did these, made these PowerPoints on, hey, this is my deal. I'm looking to raise some money for these deals. And anytime you feel like you're getting pushed out and you're doing something that's more uncomfortable, a lot of the time, if you're taking the right actions, you're growing through that process. And so, through that, I started doing the wholesale deals. From doing those wholesale deals, I would get a deal under contract, and then he would tell me, I'm like, I got this deal, and it's under contract for $100,000, and I know the property's worth $200. I know it's a good deal, but I don't. So what do I do now? And so he said, well, go to the search Houston area Facebook groups and post in the Facebook group, and go to the meetups. He said, post in the Facebook groups and go to the meetups. So go to a meetup like this. Obviously there's a couple other meetups in the Houston area as well. And I went to the meetups, and somebody said, at first I would vomit on them. I would say, hey, Tricia, here's my deal. Do you want to buy it right now? It's $200,000, and will you write a check right now for the earnest money? And are you buying it or not? And then I'm like, okay. I guess, you know what? I need to relax a little bit here. I need to slow my roll. I need to say, hey, I have some deals. I'm a wholesaler. I have some deals. Are you buying? Or are you wholesaling as well? Or are you doing rentals? Are you a contractor? And how can we work together? And so from there, I started selling multiple deals, like right from the connections I made on Facebook at some of these events. From those events and connections on Facebook, then I bought my first flip with none of my money. I partnered up with a friend from one of these investor groups, and on Facebook, he funded the deal. We bought it together. We were both on the deed, so we were both secured on the property. It was in Lamarck, Texas, and then we sold that property 3 weeks later, and we made a pretty healthy profit. And after that, actually still pretty close with that guy now. He's a hard money lender now, and he has a big hard money lending company. So literally Facebook groups. I've done commercial. Did a commercial deal last year it was a 60 pad RV park near Lake Livingston, and it was brought to me from building connections and talking to people. It also is when you're going out and when you're making connections at these groups, it's so important that we talk about marketing is more important than sales, but you're gonna see, if you're in this business for 5, 10, 20 years, this market isn't as big. It's big, there's a lot of transactions, but you need to treat people right because it's actually not as big as you think in terms of who's staying here for 10 years, things like this, and you don't want bad taste in your mouth. So if you see a deal that's worth, $100,000, you contract it with the wholesaler to buy it for $100,000. It's worth $200, and you do all your due diligence. You say, hey, I'm interested in it. You end up, you look at the property, you check it out, everything is good. The wholesaler didn't misrepresent any information. That's always very important when you're wholesaling. I've heard stories, last thing you want to do is say, hey, the property's never flooded. If you don't know something, say, hey, I don't know, but this is what I do know. So if you don't know how much the repairs are, and what's your name? Ryan looks like a buyer. He's looking good tonight. So if Ryan wants to buy his first flip, you don't, as a wholesaler, if you've never done remodeling before, you don't want to tell him, hey, listen, I know the repairs on this property are $35,000, so you're going to make, the ARV's $200, I know for a fact the repairs are $30, so you're going to make this much money, $50,000, if you buy it from me at this price. So as a wholesaler, you want to be careful. As a buyer, you want to work to treat people right. And a lot of these agents or wholesalers are counting on these deals to get closed. The agents want to look good for their sellers because their seller trusted them. They want to get referrals from that agent in the future. So you want to be somebody they can count on. You want that person. There's a guy that I've done five deals with him, and I met him at a networking event. And actually 2 people I can think of right now that I've done 5 deals with. You want to treat them right so they can keep bringing you deals. Those are the best because you're actually not paying for marketing. You're not going out and driving for 3 weeks and calling all these people and sending these expensive mailers. It all works. I would actually probably stay away from some of these like higher priced marketing stuff before you kind of know what a deal looks like, and that's why we're here. Figure out what a deal looks like and figure out kind of how do you talk to these people. Say I do all this work and I'm at the property, like what do I say, how do I present my offer, and those types of things. So yeah, I am looking forward to being with y'all, growing with y'all, and like I said, if we can take more people, I'm sure some of y'all are already doing deals. I want to network with y'all. I want to work with y'all. And for the people that aren't doing deals right now, I would love to motivate and help us to all do deals together, really, and to all grow together, because I don't want y'all to be another person that comes to events for a year and doesn't take action, doesn't get educated, and then get into deals. So I challenge y'all to network, most importantly, with the people around you. You're at these events, you're always gonna, in my opinion, you're probably gonna grow more from talking to the people around you than listening to some really basic stuff that we're talking about here that I can even tell you. So definitely think about that, and I look forward to kind of helping wherever I can. But definitely, if y'all ever, however you're interested in looking to do business, if you're looking to buy flips, I got so I bought 2 rental properties today. That is 0% interest. One was one of the rental properties. The other rental property I bought today was a deal that I've worked with that seller before. So I bought another property from her before, and she's moving to the valley. She's retiring, and as you know, the market it's settled down a little bit. You can still do flipping. I think flipping is still profitable. I would be careful with the price point that you're flipping in. Be more conservative about how long you're gonna hold that property. So maybe you need to run into your budget an extra 2 months of holding costs, things like that. Is the days on market your biggest thing? One of your biggest things is the days on market. So as a realtor, y'all can get in, you can see what areas are the lowest days on $700 a month. The rents over there are pretty high for that area. And anyway, so that's just kind of a little bit about what I'm doing. I got a deal under contract today. If any of y'all are interested in doing your first flip, it is a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. Just some food for thought about flipping. So my fiance now, who was my girlfriend at the time, we didn't meet. She's in real estate as well. She's a traditional mortgage lender, and we met through a title rep. Anyways, and she said, hey, I want to do my first flip. Just like some of y'all here. And she said, hey, what do you think is best for your first flip? And I said, you know what, like, what are you kind of working with? What do you want to do? And she's like, well, I don't want to put up a ton of money. I can't do a flip on a really expensive property. And I said, well, why don't you do a flip where, you know, the property is worth $250 or less? You know, when the market, in my opinion, when the market goes down, the properties that are worth 200 or 250, I don't see those values aren't crashing 25%. You can't build for that price. It's just not going to happen. In a normal market, yes, take what he said earlier about all these disclaimers and stuff. So I said, hey, I have this townhouse. I ended up wholesaling her this townhouse right by my office on Westheimer and Eldridge, 77077. And it's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. I'll wholesale it to you for I think it's about 110,000. I got it for 101,000 from the seller. I said, hey, I'll wholesale it to you. She bought the property, and I said, these are good properties because when you buy a townhouse, there's a lot less that can go wrong with the remodeling because it's a smaller property, and these properties need flooring, painting, you know, some updating, some granite, stuff like that, but these properties don't need crazy roofs and foundation and all that stuff. And so she ended up remodeling it and doing pretty well on it. So I do have another one of those for a first-time flipper. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. It's actually between A-Leaf and Sugarland. I'm actually asking less for this one. I'm asking $95,000 for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse. It's going to need flooring, painting, updates, bathrooms, stuff like that. Fixed up, this 3-bedroom, 2-bath townhouse is the ARV, we'll call it, is approximately 170 to 175. So it's definitely a nice little first base deal. Once you get educated, learn a little bit of kind of your numbers. The next thing you need to do is you need to take action. You need to not sit around and wonder for a year about what to do and not to do. Take action. I'm sure there's lenders, probably even in this room, and definitely look forward to connecting, putting all the puzzle pieces together for you to do some business. So appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Woo! He's not done.
Not done yet.
Do you want to go over this method?
Yes.
What's your thoughts on that?
I forgot about this.
Do you use that?
I don't use this too often, but I can definitely talk about this. This was made famous by Bigger Pockets. I believe if y'all ever heard of Bigger Pockets, the online real estate forum.
Yeah.
I actually, I really look up to the guy who ran that website for a long time, or was the face of Bigger Pockets. His name's Brandon Turner. I did forget about what I was going to say now that I think of Brandon Turner. When we're doing all of our business, we're going out there, we're trying to make as much money as we can. We want to make sure we're doing everything as ethically, as legally as possible, and as morally as possible as you can. That's actually why I really respect the guy that was the face of Bigger Pockets for a long time, Brandon Turner. They coined this strategy. And so step number one is, and I'm going to say the easiest way to use this strategy, if you're not super active right now and you're not spending thousands of dollars in your own marketing. Easiest way to use this strategy is to meet somebody here, tell them, hey, I buy houses, I buy houses, I buy houses. Are you an agent? Do you have any pocket listings? Are you a wholesaler? Do you have a deal? So now you place a property under contract here from a wholesaler or from an agent. You're going to close on the property. You're going to go to a hard money lender first. You're going to go to a hard money lender, and you're going to say, hey, I have this property. I'm buying. It needs $40,000 in renovation. I'm buying it for $100,000. Once it's fixed up, it's going to be worth $200,000. They're going to give you a loan on the property, asset based. So they're not going to, they're not necessarily going to need to see your tax returns for the last 5 years to get this hard money loan.
Is somebody going to have a down payment?
So there's different, and it's going to depend on your experience as well. Typically, I say down payment is going to depend on the purchase price of the property. For say my townhouse, I'm selling it for $95,000. It needs some renovation. I would have, at least $25,000 in working capital between you, if you're buying it, or you and your partner, you and your spouse, et cetera, et cetera. If it's a more expensive property, you're gonna need more. That's a really kind of generic term. And why do I say 25,000? Generally, if you're a first-time flipper, you can find a lender and they're gonna lend money on the property. You're gonna get them to lend all of the repair costs as well. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna pay a down payment at closing. With a typical hard money lender around here, if you've never done business with them before, they're easier than a normal lender though. Say you put up $10,000 at closing. This is just a really standard example. You're going to put up for a $200,000, say $200,000 ARV. You're going to put up $10,000 at closing. Then they're going to say, hey, we're 100% funding the deal. But it's really not 100% funding because you brought $10,000 to closing. And what did that pay for? It paid for closing costs. It paid for these points and all these fees and stuff like that. It paid for insurance. We need to always make sure the property's insured. And then you're going to start, I don't mean to get too complicated with y'all, but you're going to start the renovation and you're going to put $10,000 into renovation to start the project. You're going to do some flooring, some painting. And they're going to say, hey, Tricia, I just finished my remodeling. I just finished my flooring and painting. I need a $10,000 draw, please. And then Tricia's going to go ahead and send me a wire from her business account for the $10,000. And then I'm going to go ahead and do another $10,000 in renovation. Ideally, you need to have money to where you're working on the property as fast as possible, and you're not like waiting around for a draw, and your contractor's like, hey, we can't work on the property anymore before we get this draw. So we got the funding. We brought our $10,000 to the table, to the hard money lender. We also have some money for repairs. We have our money set aside for monthly payments as well on that property. We started our renovation. We completed our $40,000 renovation. Now we are all into the property for $140,000. Our property is worth $200,000, and we are so happy that we finished our property. It is looking so good because maybe we just staged it with Tricia's furniture here. We just put some nice backsplash, some butcher block countertops in the property, and some really good fixtures in there as well. So now it's time to list the property for rent with Tricia Turner Property Groups. We listed the property for rent. We want to make sure it's at an affordable price so we can rent it as quick as possible. Everything in investing is getting the property sold or stabilized as quickly as possible. So in the BRRRR, when I say stabilized, we need to get somebody else paying for this property as soon as possible. So that is, let's renovate it as soon as possible. Tricia, I hate to do this, but we need to get this property at least as soon as possible. Do you think you can get one of your agents out of the property real soon? Give me an estimate for verify. I think the rents are $1,800.
can we get this listed as soon as possible? We need pictures. So now Tricia has listed the property for $1,800. Now she's found a tenant in the property. This tenant doesn't have any evictions. This tenant is not a felon. This tenant has sent us some bank statements. They have some type of job. And we've decided to place this quality tenant, Bob, in the property. So now, Bob is paying for the property, but we still have a hard money loan on the property. So we're not necessarily making any money at all right now. Our hard money payment is $2,000 a month, for instance, and Bob's only paying $1,800 a month. So we're not making any money, but we have a property that's worth $140. I'm sorry, we're into the property for $140. Property's worth $200. So we've created $60,000 of net worth. We just talked about net worth. We've created more than the average person's salary in 1 year by buying one rental property in this example. We're going to find a lender to refinance this property, and this could be, if you're very bankable, this could be a traditional mortgage lender. My girlfriend's a traditional mortgage lender. I'm sure Tricia has lots of lenders that she works with. And we want to try to get this property refinanced as fast as possible. If you're a business owner and you're writing off a lot of your income and stuff like that, there is another option for you. We're going to get you another product. It's called a non-qualifying mortgage, and it's just going to be a little bit of a higher interest rate. That's option B, but we are going to get this property refinanced usually about 30 days. We got to get all our documents in order, everything like that. And now we have our property. Once we refinance the property, say for instance now our payment is $1,400 and Bob is paying $1,800. And yeah, $400 a month doesn't sound too sexy, doesn't sound too cool, doesn't sound too life-changing, but what did you do? You have $60,000 of additional net worth in this property. Bob is going to be paying down your mortgage over time, and you're going to get, if you're a real estate agent, you can claim some depreciation on this property every year, so you're making tax-free, let's go back to the disclaimer. But you're acquiring an asset. If we do this right, the whole idea of the BRRRR model is we put up a little bit of capital into the deal. We put up a little bit of capital, but the point that people like about this is when we refinance it, if we bought the property at a true discount, at a discounted deal, 70 to 75% of minus repairs, and we stick to our rehab budget, we're really tedious on a rehab budget, then we should be able to get all of our money back out when we refinance this property. And that's why people get really hooked on this idea, is that, wow, I just acquired $60,000 in net worth, $400 in cash flow, that can pay for my car, that can pay for my cell phone bill, whatever else, and now I got my money back, and now I'm going to buy another one until I can monopoly board into a hotel. So that's why people like the idea of this strategy, the BRRRR strategy.
Y'all have questions about that?
I have a quick question. So when you refinance and you get your $60,000 back, we're talking about this example you just spoke of, does that $60,000 like get transferred to you, or does that roll over to like another equity or like another property? How does that work?
Okay, so the biggest thing to pay attention to in this model, and anyone who understands this model, the biggest part is actually the refinance. So you need to be networking and knowing specifically this lender's qualifying criteria of the refinance. So say and it doesn't even matter what you're buying. If you're buying an apartment complex and you're trying this model, or you're buying a single family house, you need to understand what LTV are you getting refinanced at, and then there's some different ratios. Does it meet the DSCR requirements, debt service coverage ratio? So like, is the rent high enough for the loan that I have on this property? So yeah, you need to specifically know a little bit more about the lender's criteria. Sometimes okay, so say for instance, some lenders do a rate and term refi. You're not gonna, if you wanted, I don't want to get too in depth here, but you can do a refinance to get all your money out as long as you know that LTV or loan to value from that lender is going to be at, say you buy it at 75% minus repairs. 75% minus repairs, you buy it at, and you know for a fact that lender is going to refinance you at 80% LTV, then you're going to get your money back out. Why are you not going to, if I tell you, hey, you're going to get your money back out, but you're not going to get any profit. Why do you think that you wouldn't get any profit if I told you on top of your money back if you're buying at 75 and you're refining at 80? Why do you think?
Sure.
Okay, because you're going to pay a lot. You're going to pay closing costs. This lender's going to pay closing costs, so that's why it's. And there's fees that you sometimes don't think about on these deals. So it's very important to talk to that lender and, hey, what's your fees? And if I buy it in this area, sometimes these lenders do have different LTVs for different areas or different price. There's some of these different criteria. So that's, when you're doing the BRRRR, the biggest thing is actually start talking to, yes, getting deals, getting them rehabbed. Right now is actually I hope this motivates you. This is an incredible time actually for finding contractors. We've seen that this last 3 months having a little bit more availability right now. So I hope that is good news for y'all. And yeah, that's kind of the meat and potatoes for.
Make sense? What's next? We skip that.
You shouldn't go at it alone.
Definitely can't go it alone. So Ben, as of today, how many deals have you done?
So I've done over 100 deals. That is a combination of flipping, wholesaling, and rentals. I do a combination. I don't really subscribe to that you should only do one. So I don't think you should go out there but I do, so whatever strategy you're doing, say you're a realtor right now, I think you should, whatever you can to advance yourself and grow a little bit. So a lot of times whether that even just be, hey, I'm just gonna buy one rental property this year. I'm gonna buy one rental property for the next 3 years. Or hey, I'm gonna buy 2 rental properties this year. Or hey, you know what, actually, I think based on my skill set, since I'm a realtor, I already know this contractor that I've already been referring all my clients to. I should probably use this contractor myself if I'm already referring to my clients. So I got this deal from this group, this guy at Tricia's event. He said I could buy this townhouse for $95,000. So I guess I should buy it. I should use my contractor here that I already know to fix it. And I'm gonna do 3 flips this year, and that's gonna grow my net worth at least $100,000, for instance. So the most important part is just making a plan, and I do a combination because I go out and do the marketing, and then when I do the marketing, so say Tricia right now is getting a ton of leads. Some of those leads she likes. Some of those leads she doesn't know what to do with. So say Tricia gets a lead in Brazoria County. She says, Brazoria County? I don't want to be driving out here in the boondocks, and it's 5 acres, 10 acres. And the guy says, I'm gonna sell you this 10 acres for $50,000. She says, well, I don't want to be buying all this out in Brazoria County, or a house, or whatever it is. And she say, hey, I have this deal. Is anybody at the investment group interested? And so, boom, she does a wholesale deal. But she's still focused on whatever, on her flipping, or she's still focused on her hard money loans or whatever else. So I think you can do a couple of these different strategies. Yeah.
Let's go to the next one.
This is a basic slide about holding rentals. So don't wait to buy real estate and wait. So pretty much the objective, if you're gonna hold rentals, is to keep driving up that rent year after year, changing tenants, putting lipstick on the pig, making sure you're keeping passive income.
How many properties are you holding right now?
I've between over 1.5 million in properties, and that's a combination of different. No, over 2 million. So I'm not at the point where I'm just sitting on a beach and I'm making 10, 20. I'm not at the point where I'm sitting on a beach making 15,000 a month without doing a thing or without calling anybody. I'm still self-managing my small rental portfolio I have. Last night, I have a small mobile home community in Wharton County, and so last night, I'm self-managing it right now still. So, anyways, I want to self-manage until I get to more units. But the lady calls and she's like, my kid locked my keys inside the mobile home, and I'm like, oh shoot, I'm gonna have to. She's like, can you come out and unlock the door? And it is important to actually learn how to run things. One of the things I'm sure we'll talk about one month is how to run things like a business. So I said, oh, you know what? I actually gave my friend who lives in East Bernard the keys to all the property, and he's 1 minute away. So he pulled up in his truck in 3 minutes and gave her an extra set of keys to get in or whatever else. But yeah.
What's next, Paul?
All right.
Let's see what's on these slides.
Wow.
No, I know it's their formulas. Let's keep going. Because we want to give people like the good stuff. Talking about, finding resources and money. You don't need money, you need knowledge. You can get into some deals with zero money if you partner with people.
Yep.
Like you did.
I closed 2 rental properties today. The one rental property I was talking about in Bear Creek, I got it seller financed at 0% interest for 15 years.
Was zero down?
No, it was $5,000 down to her, but there were some back taxes that had to be paid. So I essentially said, hey, John, I have this great deal. There's plenty of equity in the property, yes, but I also have 0% interest on the deal, which anytime you're holding properties and they're not performing, it's very important to have low monthly payments, if possible. And so somebody else brought the money. I went 50-50. I gave them equity on the deal instead of debt. So I went 50-50 with them on the property. I closed the property, none of my own money. We're both on the deed. The second property I closed today was seller financed, and I'm actually planning on, I have seller financing in place for 2.5%. I'm actually going to, it's in Matagorda County, so like I was saying, I don't want to manage it. So actually in the deed, and in the note, I have a no due on sale clause, and I essentially told her, hey, I'm going to make sure your payment is made, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn around and resell that property at 9.9% interest. So I'm going to be the hard money lender on that property. They're going to put a down payment on the property, and then it's going to be a lot more than what my payment is.
Yeah.
So.
I'm curious how you negotiate such a low interest rate, because usually when you do owner finance deals, are like, I'm like 12%, 10%
Okay.
interest and $50,000 down.
Okay. So, we can do a whole thing on this topic alone. But, I'm gonna try to keep my answers short here. My answer short here is your communication skills need to be good, right? First, whenever you're doing business with people in real estate, whatever business it is, they need to like you and trust you. We talked about that. But we're not going to use these big complicated words like, hey, do you want to sell Tricia, do you want to sell your property owner finance to me at 0% interest rate? Would you like to do that?
No.
Because I like this property. I love this location. I want you to sell me this property at 0% interest. Right, this one.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so we don't use it. I have this property under contract in Missouri City. It's a 2010 build, brick house. I have under contract what we call it subject to, where we're buying the property, but she's not paying off her loan, which I actually want to talk about to them about a couple of these leads, because we need to give people a couple different offers sometimes. And so this lady, the 0% interest lady, she said, I told her, hey, we started talking about a cash offer first. We're talking about the cash offer, and she's like, well, I have all these other, how it usually happens some of these times is, hey, I have all these other offers from these other investors, and you know, this property, ideal property for seller financing, it needs no work, because when we get these construction loans, we're funded all of our rehab money. So we love to not have a perfect world as you buy a 2018 subject to property, needs no repairs, low 2.5% interest rate, you can move your family in tomorrow. For no down payment, you just pay the closing costs maybe.
Great.
That's the ideal situation. It does happen. I know a group of guys in San Antonio that they do this all the time. I do close subject to deals, a couple subject to deals a year right now, as well as multiple seller finance deals. The subject to. Why would a person sell their house subject to? Is because there's debt. They just don't want to pay the debt anymore. The debt's hanging over them, and so ringing in my ears if someone says, man, I just want to get out from under this house, I just want to sell this house, I just don't want to make my, like, if I could just sell this property. If you ever hear the word, if I can sell this property for what I owe, say that again. Your ears need to be ringing, because they just don't want to make the payment anymore. And so, for instance, say this lady's like, okay, well, these other investors, they told me they'll pay cash for my house $100,000 in this example. So, okay, well, yeah, I mean, I can do a little bit better than that. I'm looking, ARV's 240. So the ARV on this case is 240. It's a brick house, you know, roof is 3 years old, but she's been letting it sit vacant for 2 years. Some homeless person has been living in it for a minute. And anyways, I said, hey, well, I can buy it for $115 cash, for instance. And we're still talking, and she's like, you know, yeah, I think, yeah, you're the highest offer, so like, let's keep talking. Whenever I'm ready to sell, I'll probably do business with you, right? And then her friend comes along, and her friend says, hey, like, actually, to be honest with you, I'm trying to compete with you to buy the property from my friend over here. And this is actually, I ended up helping this seller move. So like, this is an example of like how I try to really treat you or your acquisition person, or your realtor on your team, you need to treat these people like they're real people, like they're your grandma. You need to treat everybody just as well like they're your grandma. This guy that have a contract today, he contacted me, he said, hey, my grandma needs to sell her townhouse. That's the one I'm trying to sell y'all. Anyways, but I said, hey, yeah, if your friend can buy the house, great. I said, and she said, yeah, my friend's going to make me payments on the house. I'm going to get a higher price from my friend. My friend can buy it for $150, she says. And $150 when everybody else offered me $100. And she'll make me payments of $700 a month or whatever it is. So I'm like, okay, well, that's great. I said, I want to just make sure she knows what she's getting into. So remind her that she needs to have the funds to fix the property. To be careful that, hey, we're not going to take on the debt of this property without understanding how we're going to get it fixed up. Does she know that she's going to be living in a property in bad condition if she's fixing it at the same time? Anyways, so long story short, I said, hey, well, if you want to sell your property that way, I'm definitely interested. I can definitely give you a higher purchase price if you're open to getting equal monthly payments over time. And she's like, wow, you know what? We just talked about passive income. We just talked about cash flow. Well, she has an asset now that's giving, well, it is an asset. It's a note. It's technically a note that she's getting monthly residual income from. And she's like, well, that's more than I get from, some of these people are getting their retirement checks. That's probably why some of these, private lenders are like, okay, well, can I make a little bit extra money? And so that's what I want to do too. When I get older, I'd like to sell my properties with owner financing when I'm too tired to manage them, or I don't want to manage the property manager that manages the property. I don't want to sell them at 0% interest, but anyway, so, you know, the topic of interest just never came up. I don't bring up things, I don't lie to people. We're going to do everything as morally, ethically as we can to make money, but I'm not going to bring up things if they don't matter to her. So you could make, you don't want to throw around these bits. The question was, how do you get some of this stuff? You get it by listening to what's going on, focusing on the person. What's their situation? There was a deal in Conroe. Man, this was like 2 weeks ago. And I thought, I was like, man, I kind of want to move into this house. So I was going to buy it subject to, he actually sold the property subject to one of my friends. This happened 2 times recently. This is how many properties are sold subject to in seller finance. So he said, hey, I have a job transfer in Dakota. It was like somewhere up north. I have a job transfer. I got to go now. And what do we know in the last 6 months, the last year? People have low interest rates, but they don't have tons and tons of equity by the time you pay 6% realtors fees, closing costs, maybe a little carpet and paint. So there are people out there that are willing to sell their property quickly, as is, where you make payments moving forward on their behalf. In the subject to example, you make the payments on their behalf. The debt's still in their name. For example, this Missouri City deal that I'm doing right now, I want to keep it. I want to do it. I have a friend. They're moving from out of the country. They're coming in from Ukraine right now. We're like, hey, we're gonna let their family live in the house. They're gonna come from Ukraine. They're gonna live in it. And the payment, it's a brick house in Missouri, 2010 build. There's no repairs, and we're giving the seller $15,000 at closing. So that $15,000 they're getting, they're actually going through a divorce as well, unfortunately. So they're going through a divorce. They don't have tons of equity, but there is still some equity in the deal. So this is kind of another thing. You have to think creatively about that. It's kind of not always like not always stage one, and you want to be really careful with what you're getting yourself into. So I probably advise, once you've done a couple deals, then let's start learning a little bit more about that. But yeah, it's just keep things simple, keep it stupid simple. So certain things just never came up. Hey, well, if I can get you this price and make payments over time, could that be a win for you? And you never know. A lot of realtors do this, and I'm just going to go ahead and roast realtors right now. A lot of realtors say, well, Ben, they never take that. Oh, no. They never accept owner financing. They never take $100,000 for that property. They never sell their 100 acres for $150,000. You never know until you either present an offer or ask them what they're asking. What's the lowest you take? On a real level here, what do you need to move? What do you want to get out of this property? And never put yourself. I started doing some of these creative financing deals, and I started doing more deals when I actually didn't make as many assumptions about what the other person would say. And I would say, you know what? I'm going to give an offer to all my clients, whatever business you're in. I'm going to give an offer to all my clients that I've already gone out, I've already busted my butt getting these leads or doing whatever else. It's a business. Every single person, and at the very least, say, hey, listen, and if whatever industry you're in, say like apartment guys, hey, you know what? Actually, and say you don't want to do all the due diligence on the property. You don't want to drive out there because they want $50,000 more than the property's worth. Hey, Sandra, I wish I could help you. I'm showing you want a little bit more than the market value. I'm showing here for the cash offer for us to close a time that's best for you, where we pay all the fees. We really have to be closer to that 70, 100,000 range. Is that something that might work for you, or is that something worth talking a little more about, or probably not? At the very least, let's give them a little bit of range before we just say, oh, that lead's bad. Tricia gave me that lead, and that lead's trash. I'll just throw that one in the trash can. You need to take they're a real person, and a lot of people will actually even appreciate that you even told them, hey, this is what's up, this is where we're at, hey, it just needs, hey, we're just not interested in this one, or whatever else. So I hope that helped a little bit.
They're up there
Yes.
though.
Definitely.
Everything that he's talking about, guys, every month we're going to do this on the first Wednesday of every month, and we're going to take a deep dive into each individual topic. So don't get afraid.
Take action. What's our next slide? We'll go through them with Ben. This one is like super important, I think, too, because people they lose their ass when they don't know.
You only need to know what's your next step. It's important to get educated, but also you don't want to be that person at a meetup that you're an engineer. I'll pick on the engineers for a little bit here. You're an engineer and you're like, you know what? Well, what if I sell this house and I did my flip, and you know what? This happened to me before. I sold a flip to a new home buyer, and then all of a sudden they moved in, and then there's a plumbing leak and the shower busts open and there's a big leak, and I just sold the house to a new home buyer, and the home buyer says, hey, we need some money, like what are you gonna do to fix this? You just remodeled this property. And so legally you don't really have to do anything. You just sold the property, unless they sue you or something. But morally and ethically, basically said, hey, we'll send the contractor back over, take a look at it, we'll get it fixed, whatever else. You don't want to, you don't want to spend all day working on your business cards, 8 hours a day working on your business cards. You want to be out there doing productive activities, whatever that is, making offers, talking to lenders, whatever that next step is for you. And I wouldn't get so caught up in how to do something that's 4 steps from what you're doing right now. So
Don't be afraid to ask questions.
yeah.
Connections are what we got right here. So we got that one covered for y'all. What's next? Overanalyzing, lack of action, lack of community, bad advice, yeah, all those matter. Next,
Execution.
yeah, make it happen. A lot. We're gonna do that. Is that on the next?
That's next month.
Okay, so that's gonna be super important. I know we gotta keep on a timeline here. Do y'all have a couple of questions for Ben? Ben has another group that it is his group too. You wanna talk a little bit about that?
I don't want to bother him too much. I do have a Facebook group. I do have a meetup group. It's called Flip Texas on Facebook. So definitely join that if y'all are interested in connecting more in real estate. I am pretty big on Facebook. Ben Nauman on Facebook. That's probably the best place to reach me at. And yeah.
Coming in every first Wednesday of the month at 7 p.m. We'll start on time too. Do y'all have any last questions for Ben?
I'm just gonna go through real quick. These slides here are our upcoming events for every first Wednesday of each month. So we're gonna go creative financing, how to become a hard money lender, how to get short-term rentals, tax codes to your advantage. We're literally gonna go over everything y'all see here. These are the next steps if you guys wanna communicate with us more, these are the ways to go. If everybody filled out that form up there, the sign-in sheet, we'll put y'all on the email list. We'll keep y'all updated with all kinds of information as we continue.
Yeah. Any questions for Ben?
What's your last name, Ben?
My last name is Nauman. N is in Nancy, A-U, M is in Mary, A, and 2 N's for Nancy. Nauman.
And we are in our real estate company. We have been given an amazing opportunity to be on realty.com. So that's a website that you can find properties on. And so we are the exclusive team for Houston, Katy, Fulshear, Berkshire, Richmond. I think that was all of them. They're over there going to be taking, what market are y'all taking?
Pearland and Manville.
Pearland and Manville. They're some of our partners too. So what we do with this company, we have deals coming in all the time, and so we can't handle all of them, Ben can't handle all of them, so y'all are gonna learn this. Josh and Emily are in the back, and they run like our cash offer division, and so they're overwhelmed right now with the opportunities that we have coming in. So definitely learn how to do this, because like he just threw out a townhouse. We have several sellers that we're talking to right now that are, yeah, well, we have 3 that are like desperate. They need to sell like in 6 days, in the next 6 days. So that's a position that somebody's in. That's an opportunity, to help them, because they're in a situation, they gotta be out of their house in 6 days. And Ben's wheels are turning like, ooh,
Let's help them, but let's grow your
Yes.
let's grow your net worth in the process.
Yes, and so it's like, it's just running the numbers. And they use the same terms like Ben just said, I just need this for my house. It's like, oh crap, that's it.
Yeah, well,
We have to talk about that. So it's that kind of stuff. So this is what we're gonna do, you guys. So be thinking, be putting stuff together, because we're gonna take action, lots of action. Any last things, questions for us or Ben? Did y'all learn something? You're gonna learn a lot, y'all. We're gonna go deep. Yay.